Good morning. Welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universal Fellowship. My name is Mary Stackpole. I use she, her pronouns. I'm happy to be serving today as your service associate alongside our minister and service leader, Reverend Barbara Queeman. Today's beautiful music is provided by Tad Koryath, Shelley Armour on viola, Jeremy Dion on guitar, and Amy Austin song leading. Thank you. And today's tech team will be Stephanie Tooley, Karen Griglak, and Deborah Minch. You are all welcome here today. In all of the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, sizes, gifts, and challenges that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your hearts or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with a curious mind, a loving heart, and a willing spirit. You are welcome here. We commit ourselves here to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you're new here, we are glad you found us, and hope that in this community you can find many opportunities for social connection and spiritual growth. Those in person can stop at the welcome table in our foyer for fellowship information and our newcomer forum. And those on Zoom, check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. All are welcome to coffee hour in the fellowship hall after the service, and everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay after for casual conversation as well. Now, both here in the sanctuary and on Zoom in the chat, take a moment to greet your neighbor this morning. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it along with us as Reverend Barbara lights our fellowship chalice. Please say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl again. I encourage you to let the fading resonance of the bowl's ringing meld into a resonance and opening of your heart for this sacred time together.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Barbara. Good to have be a champion out there. Thank you. I'm Reverend Barbara, the grateful minister of this congregation. My pronouns are she and her. It's good to see each one of you this morning. This isn't just a place of worship. This isn't just a fellowship of like minds. This isn't just a Sunday morning filled with spirit and topped off with cookies and coffee. This is a place where we are building community, where we are opening ourselves to each other, where we trust and love and rise and fall together. This is where we feel safe. This is where we know we are welcomed. This is where we know we belong. With these gifts and so many others, let us come together this morning in worship and be glad. And so, continuing the coming together, I invite us to turn to our opening hymn. It's number 83 in the gray hymnal, number 83, Winds Be Still. I invite us to sing about even through the storms and the stress of life, we can find stillness. Please rise in body or in spirit for hymn number 83 in the gray hymnal.
As we continue our journey into stillness, I offer a reading by Robert Weston titled, "The Need to Be Still." Some of us, with muscles and nerves singing in the full flesh of youth, some with quiet confidence, and some perhaps weary, worn with the failures, the years, and the passing of strength. And still others, the men and women determined, filled with the zeal of battle for justice yet to be, and for truth still denied and undiscovered. Each and all of us, whatever we may be, must come to the time when we need to be still. There comes a time when we must know the need to go apart and meditate, to seek the meanings of our lives, to reconsider the purposes we have accepted, and to establish peace within ourselves. The world presses on us too insistently. The appetites too imperiously demand of us, and we forget to be real persons in ourselves. May this moment be one of redemption, of renewal of faith in life and the living of it. May the disciplines of humility and courage be strengthened from this time. May it bring a rediscovery of self and a lifting of the heart with a sense of newness from that discovery. New courage, fresh vigor, and a deeper thoughtfulness for the living of life from this day.
This is the time in our service for the sharing of the personal, the time of community connection, sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom, please type your joy or concern into the chat. Deborah will read it aloud and Mary will add a stone on your behalf. If you're in the sanctuary today, come up front to share your joy or concern. Tell us, please, your full name, hold the mic straight out in front of you, and please, as usual, no announcements nor political messages. And then also add a stone to the waters or add a stone in silence. Please come forward for the sharing of joys and concerns. My friends, may we come together in some moments of prayer, meditation, and intentional focus. You may want to connect physically or spiritually with the person sitting near or next to you. As we offer to Great Spirit our joy in being here in community, and invite Great Spirit to help us hear all the more and hold in our hearts the sorrows as well as the celebrations in this community. The sorrows in losing a parent, the passing of other beloveds, serious illness. We also hold the celebrations to balance the sorrows in our lives, the highlights, the positives, the anniversaries, the birthdays, new births, new weddings, new homes, new visitors, new joy. So may we all sit for a few moments in some stillness, listening all the more deeply to the still small voice within, and holding those sorrows and joys which may awaken some other memories within each of us. Let us sit now for a few moments, connected together with one another in this room and through the Ethernet, connected through some silence. Amen, and blessed be. And as you wish now, I invite you either to continue your meditation or, remaining seated, join together in our pastoral hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life, if you wish to follow in the hymnal. I invite us to come together, closing off this prayer and meditation with Spirit of Life. And blessed be.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and this community by giving half our plate away to those organizations that share our values. This week's half plate is to Mental Health Partners, or MHP. Since 1962, MHP has served the Boulder and Broomfield community as our region's nonprofit community mental health provider. They offer community suicide prevention training monthly, a 24-hour walk-in crisis and addiction center, wellness centers, and family, child, teen, adult, and elder-focused counseling. MHP is empowering every client to pursue their own unique pathways to whole living through individualized mental health care, recovery and treatment, community connection, and resource navigation. As we work to destigmatize mental health care, please join in supporting this invaluable community resource. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you are at the fellowship today, please place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously, as you so often do.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we'd go to church, pay attention to the priest as he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is that everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. And so the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but to find where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best and barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath, 'cause I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down. Now I walk with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face, say it's not a testament. Well, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I say that can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how everything has changed since then, and everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but now I'm walking with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy everything is holy now.
For the work of this fellowship and mental health partners, we gratefully accept and dedicate this offering. In these waning days of Palisade peaches, I have a reading from Blossoms by Lee Young Lee. From Blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the boy at the bend in the road where we turned toward the sign painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins, comes nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all. Comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background. From joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to blossom, to impossible blossom, to sweet, impossible blossom. A message from Lee Young Lee. So, my friends, I want to tell you about an experience I had several years ago. The geography may not seem extraordinary to you who live here in the Front Range, an area which must be pretty much like what heaven is like. And the experience I want to tell you about was in great natural beauty, but I tell this story not so much for the location as the eye-opening transformation I experienced. Try to picture this with me, won't you? At the time, I was living in the Northeast. I was on my first visit to Oregon for a conference in the month of June, and I was totally awed by the extremes of landscape in the Pacific Northwest. One afternoon, I decided to play hooky from the conference and drive to Crater Lake, created thousands of years ago when a volcano blew its stack, leaving a hole in the ground that filled with water. Now, I had heard about the lake, but I hadn't seen pictures, so I didn't really know what to expect. Perhaps it looked like something they call ponds back east. The drive from Portland passed through green forests to white snowbanks. My drive prepared me well for what I was about to experience. I knew I was close to the lake, but I couldn't see over the snow piles that lined the perimeter roadway. Not realizing my location, I stopped in a parking lot. Stepping over a high mound of snow, I had one of those aha moments. Perhaps you've had similar moments. In one eye shot, I took in all of Crater Lake. Deep blue-green water, evergreens lining the shore, rocks from reds to tans to browns, white clouds illuminated by bright yellow sun. The image literally took my breath away and brought tears to my eyes. I had this profound awareness, like I had never experienced before, that I am not alone in this universe. There is some force greater than me that created remarkable beauty like this lake, which I am privileged to share with other life. I realized I was present with a force I call by many names, including God, Goddess, Gaia, love, and sometimes Crater Lake. This experience was transformative. It led to new life insights. It became a standard of sorts, a reminder to keep myself open to spiritual transformation. Connecting with the sacred through nature eventually led to my own personal theology, process theology. Process theology, the basis of the seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism, about the interconnectedness of all life. My aha moment at Crater Lake, indeed, was life-changing. I still get goosebumps when I recall it. While that experience occurred in an extraordinary natural spot, spiritual awakenings can happen anywhere. We don't need to be in extreme geography. Spiritual awakenings can happen right here at home, perhaps right in this sanctuary. Spiritual awakenings are important. They enhance what it means to be fully alive, fully human. They help us get in touch with profound questions in life which lie at the core of the religious quest. Spiritual experiences can occur quite apart from what we label religious. We do not have to follow a particular religious or theological orientation to engage in spiritual practice. We don't even have to go to church. But certainly, I hope we do merge the two. Being part of a religious community such as this really does help spiritual growth, no matter your theological orientation or absence thereof. Thus, it's important that we develop reliable habits and practices that keep us spiritually well-tuned, practices which don't have to be nearly as complicated as driving to Crater Lake. I've ministered to many UU congregations. My experience among persons of liberal faith overall is that the understanding of the meaning of spirituality is wide-ranging. Paralleled in part with a variety of recent articles and podcasts exploring a range of spiritual practices which I've seen in the news over the last 6 months or so. Overall, it seems to me spirituality is becoming increasingly important in modern life. Many people searching for a religious home, that is, a congregation to join, report that they are seeking spirituality. Thus, as we all continue to get to know one another, for this, my first grounding sermon for this interim period, I want to offer some thoughts on spirituality and spiritual practice. Spirituality is an important concept for Unitarian Universalists to talk about. In the words of the Reverend Scott Alexander, he hopes that spiritual practice for you is not glum drudgery or puritanical labor, but rather a part of joyful, creative, and empowered living. And like Reverend Alexander, I understand spirituality as creative connections at 4 levels. which weave in and out and through and around one another to create a sense of harmony in life. Go with me, please, on these 4 levels. First, connections within myself, how my parts fit together, how I feel internally connected, especially mind and body connections. I know when I'm not spiritually in tune, and I expect some of you will know it as well as we get to know one another. When I haven't exercised enough, or taken enough downtime, or when I'm in a setting where I cannot be my authentic self. When I am spiritually fit, mind, body, and emotions are clicking together. Perhaps some of you know this feeling that you say it's clicking, your self is together. Second level of connections link me with other living creatures, plants and animals. These connections remind me of this special condition called life. Respecting all life, nurturing both the living and the dying, is spiritual practice. Third, connections, closely tied to the second, is connections with inanimate substances, earth, air, fire, and water. Resources which sustain life. Thus, it is spiritual practice to protect and support Mother Earth. And then finally, fourth, spiritual connections link me to some mystery beyond myself and to others, which created the universe and sustains this planet from day to day. That's what I got in touch with at Crater Lake. Mysteries which are found in the smallest one-celled organisms and in the vast sweep of the universe through its 14 billion years of existence. This force invites me to be a co-creator in beauty and love, or said theologically. Now here's a theological term for you to take to your next social event. Theologically, I am a panentheist. A panentheist. That is, I understand this creative force as both within me and beyond me. Panentheism. For the panentheist, science and religion happily coexist. So connections within me to other humans and life, to other inanimate, as in Mother Earth, and connections to that mystery. 4 connections which are constantly churning and overlapping and weaving in and out, reminding me that I am not alone. I'm part of this interconnected system. Reminders of this interconnectedness can calm the franticness of living, just in case any of you ever gets frantic, as well as the fear of dying. Spiritual connections are important, for they reinforce what it means to be alive, how to say yes to life. Any activities that fine-tune these connections are spiritual practices. Sometimes spirituality is equated with otherworldliness or surrender. Perhaps this is one reason spirituality might have some negative connotations among some self-reliant Unitarian Universalists, which I've experienced. I would like to suggest another view, that spirituality is not about withdrawal from life, but just the opposite, engagement with life. Certainly, spiritual practice helps us find stillness, but the state of spiritual deepening is a very engaged state. Who better than the Buddha represents spirituality, whose name means one who is awake or enlightened? This is a humanistic view. Spirituality starts in the awakened human. Buddhists call being awake mindfulness. Being mindful, we develop deeper awareness of those layers of connections. The late Thich Nhat Hanh explained mindfulness like this: the state of peace and relaxation from sitting mindfully differs from the lazy, semi-conscious state that one gets while resting or dozing. In mindfulness, continues Thich Nhat Hanh, one is restful and happy, alert and awake. The mindful person should be no less awake than the driver of a car or a person walking on high stilts. Only with this kind of vigilance can you realize total awakening, unquote. So Thich Nhat Hanh jolts us into realizing how easy it is to go about humdrum tasks without being mindful. Have you ever not been mindful? Have you ever not heard the bird singing outside your window? Or missed the correct exit off the highway? Or missed the child smiling at you? How mindful were you of the gardens you passed as you approached this building this morning? Or the sounds of nature as you entered the building? Thich Nhat Hanh says that when we wash the dishes, we should really wash the dishes. Think only about the dishes, count every stroke. Or when we eat a tangerine, or perhaps one of those Palisade peaches, whose image we savored in the reading, savor each bite. Such wokefulness opens us to life's transformations. So I call each of us to have regular spiritual practice. Religious professionals are urged to do so, as you might imagine, but really it's for everyone. There's no right or wrong practice. However, to be effective, 3 essentials are recommended. So here's another list for you. 1, your practice is intentional. You choose to do it. 2, it is active and alive, even in the calmest meditation. And 3, it occurs at predictable times, at least as much as life can be predictable these days. They don't call it spiritual discipline for nothing. It may take a disciplined commitment to give spiritual practice priority, practice that is intentional, active, and regular. So how do we do spiritual practice? We might engage by retreating, going away somewhere from the daily grind. But I want to suggest that a cruise in the Caribbean is not spiritual practice if it is not intentional, active, and regular. On the other hand, even a work-related retreat can be spiritual practice if there are opportunities for renewal. But I hear countering voices among you. I can't go on retreat. I have responsibilities, many tasks, to children, to my partner, to work, to school, to this congregation. I am a very important person. I can't get away. I hear you. And I would reply by saying, consider Sabbath practice. Consider carving out a 24-hour period, staying put but withdrawing from regular activities. How about email or texting Sabbaths? 1 full day without checking messages. I can feel you reaching for your phone right now. But still, I hear you, maybe even more emphatically, Reverend Barbara, I don't even have 24 hours. All I've got is 10 minutes. So I say, use the 10 minutes. Take a mini Sabbath, like dishwashing, or tangerine or peach eating, or the 10 minutes of quiet time in this sanctuary before the service starts. 10 minutes spiritually focused in the long run might save you time. It doesn't need to be elaborate or expensive. Virtually any daily activity can be spiritual practice if it is, again, intentional, active, and regular. I expect that many of your routines are spiritual practice, even if you don't call them that. See if you find any of your regular habits in a particular approach I now want to tell you about for a few minutes. Several years ago, the UU minister, Reverend Scott Alexander, who I just referenced earlier, published a book called Everyday Spiritual Practice. And I realize you probably can't read the title, but for some of you, you may remember the color of the book cover as a way to locate it in the library, for example. So that's why I show it to you. Everyday Spiritual Practice. This is the library's copy. Reverend Alexander explains spiritual practice through everyday activities, organized in 5 categories, which he calls engagements. See if you find your own routines in these engagements. First, engage the mind in contemplation, in meditation or prayer or silence or sacred readings or journaling. Engage in contemplation. 2, engage the body in physical activity and nourishment, yoga, martial arts, fasting, dancing. This one's important for me. Dancing and swimming and hiking really matter. 3, engage the heart with acts of relationships, with partners, with friends, with families. Connect eye to eye, which is why I want to greet you at the end of the service as you exit the sanctuary. Not only online, eye to eye is an important connection. Engaging the will, number 4, in acts of justice making, like recycling or stewardship or anti-racism work. I try simple acts of justice making, like picking up trash of other hikers who forgot to leave no trace on mountain trails. And 5, engage the soul in acts of creativity, quilting, gardening, cooking, music. 5 engagements: contemplation, body, relationship, will and justice making, and soulful acts. Now, Reverend Alexander offers another helpful tip. Establish a spiritual maintenance schedule. You know, like your car. Sometimes we go in for oil changes, right? Sometimes we go in because we need a new engine and we need a longer overhaul. It's the same with spiritual practice. We should do some daily, once a week engage in longer practice, and then monthly or yearly take longer practices and retreats. They may require advanced planning, but when you put your money down on an airline ticket, it's much more likely that you're going to follow through on it. Each can benefit from spiritual practice. I hope church is one place you practice spiritually, so that each time you're here, you can be reasonably sure of some transformation, big or small. If you enjoy volunteering, don't stop. Coffee making or greeting, working with children. But do consider how any of these acts are your spiritual practices. And consider adding some new or different habits. Break out of your boxes. Take any activity at church as an opportunity for expansion, perhaps acknowledged by starting with a chalice lighting and a reading if you are in a setting where you can do so. Setting the stage for spiritual moments, who knows where it could lead? You may not have a Crater Lake experience every time you do spiritual practice, but then again, sometimes you just might. The risk, the spiritual stretching, is worth it. Spiritual practice can enhance inner and outer connections. It can bring harmony and stretch us outward to connections into the wider world, a world that in these divisive times, my friends, so desperately needs the loving, compassionate healing and peace that persons of liberal faith are capable and acquainted with offering. So for just a few minutes, for 3 minutes, I invite you on Zoom, type into the chat. Here in the room, turn to 2 or 3 others near you and just briefly tell the others your favorite spiritual practice. If you don't have one, listen to the others. For 3 minutes, we'll let you know when the time is up. Just turn briefly to one another, tell one another your spiritual practices. On Zoom, type into the chat. Take 1 more minute to talk to one another. Take 1 more minute. We might need a few chords. Wait. 1 more minute, my friends. I hope you heard or learned something new and felt good sharing with others. In the words of our first reading in this service, may spiritual practice bring you a rediscovery of self and a lifting of your heart. May you find new courage, fresh vigor, and deeper thoughtfulness for the living of life from this day forward. May all this be so. Our final hymn today, my friends, as we join together in community singing, is number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath, and the capacity to say yes to life, enhanced by our spiritual practices. Please rise in body or in spirit for hymn number 6.
Day
We have a colorful cast of characters for our announcements today. While I share our first announcement, I'll go ahead and invite David, Julie, Janet, and Amanda to come make their way forward. Our first announcement is today we have coffee and conversation with elected leaders. So representatives from the board, the Committee on Shared Ministry, and the Leadership Development Committee will be on hand during coffee hour today to entertain your questions, comments, and suggestions. So join them at a table on the stage in the fellowship hall immediately after the service. Now to David.
Good morning. My name is David Burrows, and I'm a member of the Green Team, a group of fellowship members who are concerned with climate change, climate justice, and sustainability. The fellowship recognizes that we are part of the interdependent web of life. We pledge to ground our missions and ministries in reverence for our earth and responsibility to her, him, it, them, as we undertake congregational actions, personal practices, and advocacy goals. Through an application process, the fellowship has been accepted as a member of the Colorado Green Business Network, CGBN. That's within the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. Members of the fellowship's Green Team spent about 3 months gathering data and filling out the application for CGBN. In July, we were informed that we had received recognition as a gold-level member. The fellowship has improved sustainability by disconnecting from the city's natural gas supply and installing a ground source heat pump system for heating and air conditioning. We further reduced the need for heating and cooling with increased insulation. Motion detectors direct heating and cooling only to rooms when occupied. Non-fossil fuel marmoleum is installed on all non-carpeted floors. Marmoleum is natural, linoleum, bio-based, highly durable, non-toxic, antimicrobial, and easy to maintain. Approximately 15% of our electricity is supplied through a subscription to Jack's Solar Garden. Light-emitting diode or LED lights are used throughout the building. Automatic light switches turn lights on when one enters the room and turn lights off when one leaves the room, about 95% of the time. Now, you might be asking yourself, how many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? We choose not to make a statement either in favor of or against the need for a light bulb to change. However, if in your own journey you have found that light bulbs need to change, that's fine. You are invited to write a poem or compose a modern dance to share with us next week. Moving on. Bathroom and kitchen fixtures are low water use. Recyclables and compostables are collected at all events. Beetle kill pine is used in the sanctuary ceiling and in the foyer. We're currently designing and installing water-wise landscaping and pollinator gardens in beds near the building. Native grasses and low-water shrubs are planted in areas further from the building. Instead of synthetic materials, wood chips are installed under equipment in the playground. And much more. Just ask us during the coffee hour. Members of the Green Team will attend an awards assembly on Friday, September 27th at the Denver Zoo to be recognized for the fellowship's sustainability efforts. I'm sorry you don't get to go to the Denver Zoo with us, but this morning, won't you join us in Fellowship Hall after the service and celebrate our Gold Medal Award with green cupcakes, gluten-free green meringues, and edamame. Your Green Team thanks you for your attention.
I can't follow that. So, a lot of talk about a lot of talk about justice this morning, and do you want to make a positive difference for justice in your local community and our state during the election season and into the future? We have that opportunity next Sunday afternoon. Join us at the Together Colorado People's Assembly at Shorter AME for impactful language and inspirational togetherness. There's going to be wonderful speakers and music. We will leave that assembly on a clear path to create positive change and build power for justice within our communities and our state. We're going to be organizing carpools from either here or your local community. The event is 2 to 5 next Sunday. I know there's so many great events going on next Sunday. Please do consider this one, and you can check the QR code on the flyers that I've tried to put all over the place to register. And if you're interested in carpooling, see me at coffee hour. And now I am so happy to introduce this year's auction leaders.
Hi there, folks. I'm Janet Meyer. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Amanda Derringer Downs, she, her pronouns as well.
And we are the leaders for the this year's auction. There is going to be an auction on November 16th in the afternoon, 3 to 6. And the theme is the Love Boat.
Oh yeah. Love, exciting and new. Come aboard, we're expecting you. And stuff to bid upon. Act fast, it may soon be gone. The auction, so many items from which to choose. The auction, some of which you may actually use. From pastries to dinners to handicrafts made of wood. Cabins, massages, and sachets that smell so good. So come on. Doesn't take much time. Bid in person or bid online. But bid at the Boulder Valley Auction 2024.
So this year, we're making it really fun, and I'm sure it's been really fun in the past. This will be my first year. It's going to be family friendly. We'll have it in the afternoon. It's going to be a happy hour event. So please join us for a fun auction.
It's going to be November 16th in person, and we will have bidding online, of course, as we've done before. Come to the table in the fellowship hall, and we'll have more information. You can sign up to volunteer. If you have an idea of what you want to donate, this next week we'll be going live online with our app that we use. But here we can get some information. And there's also a sheet. Thank you to Prue Larson for suggesting this. If you have something that you would like somebody else to donate, you can make a suggestion. So put on your thinking caps. Anyway, we'll see you back in Fellowship Hall. Thank you, Tad. That was great.
Thank you, everyone. So much exciting stuff at the beginning of our church here. Please join me, rise in body or in spirit, as we say our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
Join hands or arms or spirits with someone near you and through the folks online. For those of you who have come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those of you who have come here seeking life, may life return your affection. For those of you who have come here seeking a better way, may that way be found and the courage to take it step by step. When you leave here this morning, my friends, go in peace. When you return to this sacred space, return in love and in hope and in stillness. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. Blessed be. And friends, I invite you to resume your seats to enjoy the postu to give me a chance to get to the back door, because I want to greet you eye to eye and face to face so that I can get to know you. I'll see you at the back door.